Welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 27th of July for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, please check out beneath this video where you can tune in to the daily astrology and tarot video show, which is proving great fun, and you can grab your free daily written horoscope every single day. Or you can chat with me direct on Twitter at Horoscope Ace. This week begins with a passionate quarter moon in the sign of Scorpio, which is about desire. The sun is in the very warm-hearted and loving sign of Leo. So if there is any politics around a relationship, and it doesn't have to be purely a romantic tie, but if there's any possessiveness, control, jealousy, trust issues, maybe they do need to be looked at this week. Now also this week, Mars is in a square with Jupiter from Wednesday through to the end of the week. Now this is one of those influences which kind of makes it a little bit difficult for us to know our boundaries, because Mars is in its own sign of Aries, which is about initiating things, and Jupiter's in the part of the zodiac which is very much to do with responsibilities and obligations. So if we do decide to do something in a bit more of a dash and try to inject extra energy and verve, we just need to be aware if it's appropriate for that particular situation. Also, towards the end of this week, the Sun is clashing with Uranus. This can make us impulsive, restless, particularly with our resources. Perhaps this could see us spend some money on something that suddenly we get the desire for. But equally, we may ask ourselves the question, should we splash out unless it's something that we absolutely essentially need in a more practical context? Also, this can be a time not to be too generous to someone we love just because we want to spoil them. Sometimes we have to remind people to take responsibility for their own affairs. Now, as this week draws to a close, a full moon in the sign of Aquarius is going to open up the next 7-day period. So it is important to be mindful of that square between Uranus and the Sun, because it is going to feature in next week's full moon. But it's the opposition between Mercury and Saturn which really catches my eye as the week draws to a close. And that could be a sort of sense of limitation. Maybe we're going to encounter someone who's not as sensitive to our situation, especially if we try to open up as we might like. So just watch out for someone who could be a bit cool, a bit snappy, or if we feel a bit more tense in ourselves. Your specific forecast, Sagittarius, shows your ruler in quite an influential mode this week. It's in opposition with Mercury from Tuesday through to the end of the week, which, if finances have loosened up a little bit, may put you in the mood to be a bit more spontaneous about what you spend money on. Or if things are still very delicately poised, as the week actually comes through a close and Jupiter is very close to Saturn but in opposition to Mercury, I feel that maybe that's a bit of a reminder about the journey that you've been on over the last couple of years around resources, but perhaps more crucially around how you feel about yourself. Now, of course, the Sun remains in the sign of Leo, which is all about expanding your horizons. Not so easy with COVID and the lockdown and restrictions. But the quarter moon, which occurs on Monday, suggests that something that would ordinarily you would just shrug your shoulders around could just get under your skin a little bit. Watch out for someone exaggerating something. It could press a button, but obviously you need to let it. Now, Jupiter also is in a square with Mars. Now, Mars is in a much better position for you personally, but that angle to Jupiter again comes back down to being very much spontaneous around splashing out, or perhaps having less impulse control, perhaps around a love relationship. But then sometimes when that might be the case, it might push us out of our comfort zone to be a bit more vulnerable or to take a risk, which can actually trigger something very positive. Now, the Sun is in a right angle with Uranus in the last half of this week. And if you have felt very penned in with COVID and you have had a very big physical restriction on you, and that's not really changing because of where or how things are playing out exactly where you're located, that could create some tension. And that's all taking you towards the full moon, which occurs in the sign of Aquarius next Monday. But I'll tell you about that then. But what I would say to you is that generally speaking, the watchword for you is that the Sun's about growing, and that growing can be knowledge as much as actually being more adventurous. So even if your physical mobility is limited, you can still grow your understanding, something you have a tremendous appreciation for. And if there is something that's proven frustrating around money or self-worth, keep working at it. Once Saturn and Jupiter enter into your third solar house together exactly on the 21st of December, and you have that glorious solar eclipse in your sign on the 14th of December, that's really going to take us into a whole new ball game, and it's one that I think you can thrive in next year much more. But I think over the last couple of years has given you such a lot of information, experience and knowledge about how to go forwards, and perhaps maybe a little bit more humble in some ways, because Saturn's a very humbling process wherever it has its impact. I have Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius too. So maybe we can learn through its challenge, but also I feel that you will have stripped things down and be much more aware of really where you want to make a difference as this year starts to loosen up as it comes to a close. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for having joined me. If you'd like to ascend above your zodiac sign and embrace serious astrology, please check out my affordable range of astrology reports beneath this video. You can get 30% off on a 12-month forecast and a character analysis, or check out the testimonials for myself if you would like to have a one-to-one personal consultation. Thank you.